So you broke your dishwasher, or at least it broke. Mine did. And you need to put a new one in. Well, this is how you do it. Okay, first thing I think we need to do is take this kick panel off the bottom. That gives us access to some of the things we're going to need to disconnect before we can get started. And then there's 2 screws here that need to come out. Some cabinets have a wood top on them, and these screws will go directly into that wood. This is a bar that goes between the cabinets. It's perforated, has holes in it, so that you can attach this dishwasher to that. And I want to point that out because that might not be typical for a lot of dishwashers. Just something to keep in mind when you reinstall. So first things first, we're gonna take these screws out down here. Comes out in there. Slide out of the way. I'm looking to see, this is an older home. I had this dishwasher out before, but I don't remember if it was hardwired, which it is. So this unit is hardwired, which again, for a newer home, this would not be typical. But when they say they have a hardwired dishwasher or something, this is what they're talking about. The electrical line comes out of the wall back there. You can see where it comes out of the wall. It just goes straight into this junction box. So we may change that when we install this new one. I might put in a outlet box in the back there so I can plug it in. Just because it's a lot easier to wire before you put it in the hole than actually having to get my fingers back underneath there and wire it up. So we'll see how it goes. Get these 2 screws here out. One over there. All right, now that I've determined that it's hardwired, this unit, at least mine is, I'll have to find a breaker or a fuse panel, whatever the case may be, to so I can shut the power off. Definitely want to make sure the power's off before you pull this thing out of the hole. If you have a newer unit, probably you just need to unplug it from under the sink. There's an outlet under most sinks, and most dishwashers and disposals, garbage disposals, are just plugged straight into an outlet under the sink. So that would be a lot easier, but that's not my case. So I'll take a look under here. And there's not even an outlet under my sink. So I definitely know that's not the case. And you gotta find the supply, the water supply. Goes to your dishwasher. There should be a line running over there that towards the dishwasher. That's mine. This is a hard line, and it's connected here. So in order to shut that water off, I just gotta crank that 1/4 turn valve right there. And yours should be the same, just a valve to turn. So before you get started, make sure turn the power off 1, turn the water off 2. Okay, since my electrical is hardwired, I'm gonna have to figure out where to disconnect the power. So I'm gonna take the cover off of this determine where that breaker is. Okay, I got my breaker turned off downstairs. This is my electrical tester. Never hurts to double check to make sure there's no power. Okay, got these connected with Wagos here. Take the Wagos loose. Probably have wire nuts on a lot of them, if not most of them. Come in here and take this ground loose. Take the nut off that ring if I can get it loose. Push the wire out of there. Power is disconnected. Something else that's not necessarily typical, maybe in an older house, I'm sure it is. I have this hard copper line for a supply line. So I'm going to go ahead and take it loose here first so that I can slide the unit out, and then I'm going to put a flexible line back in with the new unit. Definitely a good idea when you do this to have an old rag or a towel. There's going to be water leaks out of this, so just kind of push it up underneath there. I want to reiterate, make sure that water valve is turned off before you take this loose. Make a mess if you didn't. Okay, water line's loose. Okay, the only thing I have left to disconnect now is this drain line, which mine is connected to the garbage disposal, the outlet on the garbage disposal. Take this clamp loose. Gonna have a little water come out of that. I'm gonna get my towel and I can drain out as much as I can get out of there. Okay, I'm ready to pull this dishwasher out of here. Got the 2 anchors disconnected. I got the electric shut off, disconnected. I got the water shut off, disconnected, and the drain disconnected. So I think about ready. I might have to loosen up these 2 feet. There's little feet, leveler feet here on the front, and I might actually have to screw those up a little bit to get this so it's not so tight against the top of the cabinet. And you can use just a wrench that fits this is probably the easiest way, unless it's just you can get it with your fingers like I did. All right, so we're gonna grab this thing and just work it out of here. Might not be a bad idea if you have a nice floor to put down some cardboard. I think this one's gonna roll okay. There's wheels in the back of it. All right. There we go. Okay, I got it on his back. in order to get the supply line connected and the electrical connected. You need to take off this kick plate here. Looks like there's a little kind of goes, hangs on that little tab there, both sides. It looks like this is a two-piece deal, so that this can actually slide down if the floor is uneven, or you need a little, cover up a little gap or something. So we'll pull all this off here. And you have your electrical here, and this is where the supply line is going to connect right there. Alright, so before you put this elbow connector on, connect your supply line. It's a lot easier to do it beforehand. And this is a 4-foot hose. That's all I needed. I didn't buy the 6-foot hose, although it's available, because I don't want a bunch of it just kind of, you know, bound up underneath there. So I'm going to feed this back here. Make sure your O-ring's in there, or your rubber gasket, I should say. These are plastic parts, so you want to make sure you don't tighten these too tight, because you'll break stuff. And it does with that rubber gasket. It doesn't need to be super tight. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put this drain on here. You do not want the straight end put on the machine. You want this 110 degree, I guess it is, angle. And in your hardware kit, the hardware bag up there, 2 clamps. One of them's red, that goes under the sink. The silver one is the one you want. Put it on here first. And then this goes, you have to get down here. Get down there. Right here. On up there. And clamp. There's 2 little ridges on this boot, and the clamp goes between those ridges. Alright, so we'll gather these up, kind of put them up the back. One last thing before we stand this up, we're going to take a tape measure, and we're going to measure from the floor to the bottom of the countertop. That's 34.5 inches. So according to that manual, it's preset to 33.5 inches. So you're going to have to, we need 34.5 inches, so we're going to actually bring these down an inch. Right there. Now keep in mind 34.5 inches. That's tight. I mean, you want to be maybe just a little bit, an eighth of an inch less than that maybe. So it'll slide in there. The front ones, I would loosen these up. I don't think I would really do much to them just yet, because you're gonna level this thing up once you get it in there. I'm gonna go ahead and rewire this, hardwire it. There's my wire. So you notice that it still has the Romex connector on it from before. So that'll be good. I'll feed that from up underneath here, and it'll come into this hole inside the electrical panel under the dishwasher, and then I'll connect it there when we get the dishwasher pushed back in there. Take your, you'll have to come over here. Feed your drain hose and your supply line through the hole in your cabinets towards your sink. Unfortunately, the bad part about the short supply line is it doesn't leave you much room. But it'll be worth it in the end. Alright, generally you would put that electrical supply line through there too if you were going to plug it into the sink, but I'm not going to do that, so just a reminder, if that's how you're doing it, make sure that goes through the hole too. Alright, you kind of just got to feed it in there the best you can, pull the slack out of this stuff as you go. Now back in the hardware bag, it comes with these two anchors. There's slots in the top of this dishwasher. You can choose any one you want. So we're going to put them in this, on the outside, and then you put it in there. Come around here. There's like a little tab here. You just grab that tab and you bend it up so that they can't go nowhere. All right. You're sliding this thing in there. Might be time for this to come over here. Okay, to get this thing level, I just put my torpedo level on here, and to protect the front of the dishwasher, I put a paper towel in there. I can see the bubble right here, and then I got my little can locks, and I'm just adjusting the feet until it's level like it is right now. So that should be good. Move this thing up, see how it looks, and then I'm going to put the two screws on my anchors up into the countertop. Okay, I did have to check out this drain pan in order to get this electrical hooked up. So this just, you can just see the tabs. It just pushes in there and the tabs lock it in place. Make sure you plug in this sensor, because I guess this thing doesn't actually work without that sensor plugged in. So as you can see here, my electrical connection. Here's my hard wire. Alright, so I got the black to the black, the white to the white, and I grounded it in the back of the box back there. So I don't know. I don't think I would if it's already hardwired, maybe keep it that way, but definitely wouldn't do that way from the get-go. So much easier to wire that cord on there and plug it into the wall. Cover back on here. So let's get this drain pan back underneath here. This is that wire that I was talking about for the sensor. This plugs in right back here somewhere. There we go. And let's slide back in. There we go. That's in place. Okay, the drain line goes on the back of the, connects to the back of the garbage disposal. Here's my red clamp that I was talking about earlier. I better a pair of pliers for this. Okay, this on there. That's on. Connect our supply line. Turn the supply, this on. It ain't leaking nowhere. Alright, well, it's been a couple weeks since we installed this dishwasher. I think the video ended when I was turning the water back on into the sink. So once you do that, check under the unit where the supply line is connected. Make sure there's no drips there. Once that's good, put the kick panel back on, turn the power back on, done. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free, doesn't cost anything. And I'll see you next time.